everybody. Welcome. Finally, Friday, Saturday morning, if you're listening from Australia, Asia gang, to another bonus episode of Molecast. Happy weekend. If you heard a huge sigh of relief from me this morning, it was so many things. This week has felt like, 3 months in one, just waiting to find out who would win the Nobel Peace Prize. More on that later. Getting ready for our main Molecast episode coming up on Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There was just a lot. So it's just really nice to be able to sit down and have this mini episode and conversation with you guys on the Nobel Peace Prize winner. But I hope everyone is doing okay, self-caring if you need it. Apparently tomorrow is World Mental Health Day. I will be observing it. I hope that you do too if you need to. And if not, just be an ally for somebody who does need that mental health support. So just my public service announcement for the day. And let's move into the Nobel Peace Prize. So yesterday I mentioned that the Nobel Committee seemed to be running with a theme. Monday, the Physiology and Medicine Prize awarded a virus. Tuesday, we award black holes. What has 2020 felt like? A continual black hole. Wednesday, we award CRISPR. Thursday came out that there is a rapid COVID test, only takes 5 minutes, that uses CRISPR. And yesterday, our Nobel Prize in Literature is well known for writing poetry that reviewers have considered bleak and dark, but also truthful, and allowing us to take a good look within ourselves in terms of isolation, depression, and loneliness. Sound familiar, 2020? Well, hold on, hang on to your hats, buckle your seatbelts. Welcome to the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize. So let me give some background and build up the suspense for our Nobel Peace Prize winner. 318 candidates were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize this year. That includes 211 individuals and 107 organizations. If that sounds like a lot, kind of is. This year was the fourth highest number of candidates ever nominated. 2016 was the most. That was 376. Previous winners include the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, Malala, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., the European Union in 2012, former President Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, the United Nations, just to name a few, and some ground rules. You cannot nominate yourself. So whatever myths have been out there circulating in the general public, not true. You cannot nominate yourself. You have to have someone nominate you, and it must be from a specific nominate list. So similar to, I've seen on Instagram today that a lot of musicians and musical groups have asked people to nominate them for the Grammys or the first round of the Grammys. Kind of a similar thing. Not everyone can nominate you. You have to be from a particular VIP list in order to nominate other people. And fun fact that I didn't know, apparently the Nobel Peace Prize award ceremony is not in Stockholm, Sweden. It's in Oslo, Norway. So, who knew? But again, this year, the prize ceremony will not happen. Obviously, 2020, we're in the middle of a pandemic. It will be conducted virtually. So the Nobel Committee awarded the World Food Program as this year's 2020 Nobel Peace Prize recipient. And they won for fighting hunger and seeking to end its use as a weapon of war and conflict. And if you're thinking, okay, Mole, where is the 2020 connection? Well, we've had a pandemic. And according to data gathered in June, this pandemic has driven millions to the brink of starvation. Yeah, 2020. It's been a year. But let's turn things into a more wholesome light. The Nobel Committee said that they awarded this prize to the World Food Program because it wished to turn the eyes of the world towards the millions of people who suffer from the face of threat of hunger. Some statistics for you. Currently, 2 billion people, that's 26% of the global population, experienced hunger or food insecurity in 2019. If it feels like 2019 was 3 years ago, it wasn't. It was last year. I double checked. 690 million of those people faced chronic hunger. And sadly, this number has been rising over the past 5 years. From that 2 billion people that I just mentioned, 75% of those people are smallholder farmers and their families. And the issue isn't that there isn't enough food to eat. It's that people can't afford food. And if we think about this in terms of 2020 and the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, a lot of people have lost their jobs or are at risk of losing their jobs. We think about this mainly in first world terms, such as, in the classical music industry, freelance musicians, orchestral members who can't go back to work due to social distancing guidelines, and theaters, music halls that also can't open due to social distancing guidelines held by the county, state, or federal government. However, these issues also trickle down into developing countries. Due to global supply chain issues from the pandemic, as well as people also losing their jobs due to the pandemic, we've seen a sharp increase in people who are unable to afford food for their families. And this pandemic has also kind of put a further strain on the United Nations 2030 target of having zero hunger in the world. So you're probably thinking, okay, well, this sounds really bad, but what is the World Food Program? Well, the World Food Program was formed by the United Nations, and it's based in Rome. Its focus areas are surprisingly not just on nutrition and food, but it's also on things such as climate change, disaster risk reduction, gender equality, smallholder market support, so farmers who need that support in order to make sure that they can get their food out to the proper people, societal protection and safety nets. Some of these regions are in areas where there's civil unrest, so making sure that farmers and people have the support that they need, so that way areas don't receive some sort of external shock, as well as sustainable livelihoods and ecosystems. So they currently work in 80 countries, and 8 countries are currently in a state of emergency according to the World Food Program. So when I did some further digging, because I was like, okay, well, it sounds like they're doing a lot of work, and how can the prize money from the Nobel Peace Prize help them in their goal? Well, here's the thing. The prize is 1.1 million United States dollars cash. And however, the World Food Program has already received this year alone $6.4 billion US dollars in cash and goods, including $2.7 billion US dollars from the United States in 2020 alone. So they're receiving a lot of support, but it's clearly not enough. They need more support in order to reach all of these areas, especially now during the 2020 pandemic. Last year, 2019, the World Food Program provided food assistance to 100 million people in 88 countries. So we can expect that number to definitely increase this year. And in fact, it did. Late June, the World Food Program reported that they saw the number of people being assisted from 97 million to 138 million. And the World Food Program projects that 270 million people worldwide could be pushed to the brink of starvation. So things don't sound that great. And the World Food Program did say that they're in unprecedented and uncharted territory. So with the Nobel Committee selecting the World Food Program to be this year's awardees, they're really hoping to highlight this issue, to continue shedding light that, yeah, although we're in the middle of a pandemic, there's also additional people that need help. And I found this actually really surprising because, you know, the history of the Nobel Prize Committee has been one that isn't without controversy, as all, you know, committees and groups are. Some of their selections have been interesting, but I felt that this year's Nobel awardees were definitely justified. My opinion, nobody else's opinion. I am entitled to my own opinion. But I found this comment to be incredibly interesting from the Nobel Committee. This year's prize seeks to highlight the need for global solidarity in a time of crisis. And this is from the World Food Program. Food is the best vaccine against chaos. And I thought that it was so true. You know, in 2020, we have seen a lot of division and unrest, and in a time where we all need to band together to support each other, especially in a time where people can't, you know, be with each other. We're, you know, social distancing. I'm going to call it right now. If social distancing is not the 2020 like word or phrase of the year, I want a refund. It has to be the phrase of the year. And the only reason why I say this is now I'm looking at future Molecast episodes. I'm planning the last episode of the year, which is just a year in review. I want the phrase of the year for 2020 to be social distancing, because it has just penetrated everything. Everything. It's social distancing. For good reason. But it needs to be the 2020 phrase of the year. But because we cannot be together, and as humans, we thrive on being social. We are social creatures. You know, even those who are introverted, I'm looking at you, you know who you are. We still rely on contact with other people just because that's who we are as a society. And without that solidarity and, you know, companionship, how can we fully be able to face a crisis together? I am guilty of being somewhat of a, you know, I can be both extroverted and introverted. There are times where I need my space, such as tomorrow. And there are times where I absolutely need people, such as every other day of the week. But, you know, with the Nobel Committee highlighting this need for solidarity and, you know, coming together in this time of crisis, I just found it very poignant, and just, this is the leadership that we need right now. I'm going to say it and I'm going to own it, but we need to come together. And I just applaud the Nobel Committee for making that statement. And the World Food Program also said that, you know, highlighting this, you know, world hunger, especially now during the pandemic, they stated that we could see increased societal unrest and protest, a rise in migration, deepening conflict, and widespread undernutrition among populations that were previously immune to hunger. And I think of, like, when because my current schedule in the lab is I work from 5 a.m. roughly to 1 p.m. roughly. It's an 8-hour shift, but I do not eat in the lab due to COVID safety guidelines. But I know during the last hour of my shift, I am a holy terror in the lab. If I don't, I just need food. So I plan my day that my, like, me time is literally between the hours of 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Do not socially interact with me. Social distancing should be 12 feet, not 6 feet, because just not having lunch, the simple meal of lunch, and I turn into I'm hangry. I am definitely hangry. So imagine just a first world problem of I don't have lunch, so I get grumpy. But imagine this in a country where they were already having issues with getting food to its people, to its citizens, due to, not having the support systems, again, such as, the issues from climate change, issues from, possible, sorry about that, not having the smallholder market support for its farmers, not having the societal protections, and then adding to that this pandemic, it could lead into chaos. So having groups like this that are able to provide that support and provide that necessary, response is crucial. And I found this quote, as I've done all week. I like to leave a powerful quote from the awardee onto the Molecast. And the World Food Program stated, "While there is hunger, we will never have a peaceful world." And again, I just found that very powerful, because there's so many things that we all, myself included, take for granted. And actually, I just recently got onto Twitter. Super excited. I'm kind of like a kid in a candy store right now. I just kind of tweet about like all my feelings. Luckily, I only have 4 followers, so life is good. Like, I can harass those 4 followers, and when they unfollow me, I don't feel bad. But one of the things I did today, because I was just having a really bad morning, was I listed all the things that I'm grateful for. And one of the things that I did, and I listed the typical things. I'm grateful for my friends and my family. I'm grateful that, I have tea and coffee and violin, and that all the troubles that are going on in my life will pass eventually. And that I'm trying to remember the other 2 things that I wrote this morning. But I didn't, none of the basics came to mind. Like shelter. Oh, I did list that I was thankful that I was able to pay all my bills this month. Not that that's ever a problem, but I'm thankful that I still have my job as a graduate student. But I didn't list the basics. I'm really thankful that I have sturdy shelter, and that I have food on my table, and that I live in a place that is generally clean. Yeah, it is Chicago. Yeah, when I walk into work, I, think to myself, will I get sprayed by a skunk today? Yes or no? Will I, have a rat that jumps out in front of me as I walk into lab and I screech? Yes or no? But these are just first world problems. Chicago is generally very clean. And I should be, incredibly grateful for that. And it, having these organizations, and supporting these organizations, so that way someday maybe we can have, the UN's target of 10 years from now, 2030, where we have zero hunger in the world. So after reading all about the World Food Program and what the UN's trying to do to reach this target year 2030 of having zero hunger, I asked, how can I get involved, and how can others get involved here on the Discord, or just, any random person on the street? Well, I'll give you the steps, and then I'll give you my opinion, as I always do. So what you can do is you can have a career with the World Food Program if you so choose. This is definitely ruled out for me. They're not looking for a molecular biologist. So, nope. You can donate. Donating is, I can donate some money, but again, I'm a graduate student. I still got to be able to pay my bills, eat food, take care of things. And for some of us here on the Discord, we're below the age of 18, maybe, and are, might not have the money to donate right now. So, okay. And you could volunteer. Here's the catch. You have to be over 18 in order to volunteer. So for those of you who are not over 18, that's also a bust. So what can you do if you don't meet these guidelines? Well, remember, there's also hunger in front of your own doorsteps. You can make sure that you mention, this on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, etc. Highlight that there is still world hunger and encourage those who are able to fit those guidelines to help out if they can. However, there's also hunger in front of your own doorstep. You can get involved in local food banks. I'm here in Chicago. We have several food banks just in the Chicago area alone where you can donate. Or you can donate your time, or you can donate your money. And I'm thinking of a food bank that's actually super close to my university, where for an hour, you can help hand out food to local families in need, literally only an hour. Farmers markets in the area usually donate the produce that they're unable to sell to local food banks in order to help out. And as always, they're always looking for donations. So, maybe we can't help the World Food Program in their goal, but if we can help out our local communities, the resources that would have gone to our local communities maybe can go towards helping the World Food Program in their goal. And in general, we could have, we can hit the target year 2030 of zero hunger. Those are just some ideas. Not, there's obviously many other ideas out there that can help combat this issue. But yeah, overall, I think this is a really great choice by the Nobel Committee for highlighting something that also 2020 brought to light, that hunger is still an issue, and that it's only going to get worse until we actually start putting attention onto the problem. And that is the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020. If we're going to continue with the theme of 2020 for the Nobel Prize in Economics, I'm going to call it right now. The person's probably either researching job loss, recession, or something that is also bleak and dark in the year of 2020. If we're going with the theme, I am going to hold out hope that it's going to be something incredibly positive and uplifting. I'm also going to be a realist and notice that the Nobel Committee has a theme. They definitely have a theme. Also, I wanted to add that I did look up again if the United Nations was going to give the World Food Program a parking spot in their parking lot in New York. I didn't see anything yet. I hope they do. As always, everybody should deserve a parking spot. If you win the Nobel Prize, you should get a parking spot. And from that, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the bonus episode of Molecast. Oh my gosh, I could already hear sirens. I'm so sorry for this recording. I am going to enjoy my cup of tea, get this video online, and have a relaxing evening. I hope you guys have a relaxing evening, morning. I'm just incredibly tired. And first, also, to the Basement Gang, if you are listening to this recording, I am so sorry for my sad looking thumbnails. as it just so everybody knows, the thumbnails for this week's bonus episodes have come from me. They are not from the Basement Gang. So do not judge. Do not judge. Judge only me. I wanted to make sure I had it in the margin, don't forget to mention this is not Basement Gang. Basement Gang does all of the thumbnails for the main episodes. For the bonus episodes this week and Monday, I have done those. But thank you so much to the Basement Gang, Justina, Zen. Thank you for all of your amazing work with those. And also, get ready. We're going to do a little bit of revamp also with the YouTube page for Molecast. Stay tuned. I'm kind of excited. It's in desperate need of a revamp. I've just been super lazy about it. With that, don't forget to tune in to the main episode of Molecast, The Physics of Music, on the main server, Ray Chen Violin, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, October 11th. And with that, thank you guys for listening to this YouTube recording of the bonus Molecast. Have a good day, evening, what have you. See you guys.